Welcome back to Campfire Tales, where the fire sputters low and the night weaves stories that chill your soul. I'm your host, drawing you close to the campfire to unravel tales that hide in plain sight. Tonight we delve into the disturbing tale of the room for rent, a ghost story spun from cheap rooms and buried secrets. What cries in the walls? Let's face the terror together. Settle in, but don't take the key. In 1933, Depression-era Chicago, where breadlines snaked and flophouses reeked of despair, lived Maeve O'Connor, a 28-year-old Irish immigrant scraping by as a seamstress. The great crash had taken her savings, her fiancé, her hope. One rain-soaked October night, she spotted a hand-scrawled sign on Halsted Street, room for rent, $1 a week, Mrs. Kowalski, 3rd floor. The building was a sagging Victorian, peeling paint, windows like empty eyes. Mrs. Kowalski, a widow in her mid-30s with pinched lips, handed over a brass key. No pets, no men, no questions. Maeve nodded, too tired to argue. The room was tiny, iron bed, cracked sink, closet no wider than a coffin. That first night, 11:47 p.m., Maeve woke to scratching, inside the walls like tiny nails. She pressed her ear to the plaster, a baby's cry, muffled, desperate. She froze. The cry stopped. Morning light revealed faded wallpaper with handprints, too small for an adult. Mrs. Kowalski shrugged. Old pipes. Night 2, the cry returned, louder, closer. Maeve lit a candle, followed the sound to the closet. The door creaked open. Inside, dusty shelves, moth-eaten blankets, and a tiny shoe. Leather, cracked, size infant. She picked it up. The cry exploded from beneath the floorboards. Maeve dropped the shoe, slammed the door. Blood seeped from the keyhole, pooling on the floorboards. She slept with the light on. By night 3, the walls wept. Red streaks ran down the paper, forming letters, Mama. Maeve banged on Mrs. Kowalski's door. The widow opened, eyes tired. You hear her too? She whispered. My daughter, 1925, stillborn, buried in the closet, couldn't afford a grave. Maeve ran, the key burned in her hand. She threw it down the stairs. The cry followed. Down the hall, into the street, into her dreams. Years later, the building was torn down. Workers found a tiny skeleton wrapped in 1925 newspaper, clutched in a woman's arms. Maeve, mummified, mouth open in a scream. The closet door was nailed shut from the inside. That's the disturbing tale of the room for rent, rooted in Depression-era ghost stories, first documented in Chicago Tribune folklore columns, 1930s. It mirrors real flophouse tragedies. Infant deaths, secret burials, landlords hiding bodies to avoid scandal. Urban renewal in the 1950s unearthed dozens of such skeletons in tenement walls, fueling haunted boarding house legends across the Midwest. Never trust a room too cheap. In 1922 London, where fog swallowed gaslights and typewriters clacked in cramped offices, lived Eleanor Price, a 24-year-old shorthand typist for a shipping firm. The post-war rent crisis had driven her from her family flat in Kensington. One drizzly November afternoon, she found a neat card in a newsagent window. Bedsit to let, 12/6 weekly, Mrs. Hargreaves, Bloomsbury. The Georgian townhouse was faded grandeur, creaking stairs, smell of damp coal. Mrs. Hargreaves, a widow in black bombazine, handed over a heavy iron key. Room 4, no gentlemen callers, no noise after 10. Eleanor smiled weakly, signed the lease in violet ink. The bedsit was cold. Single bed, chipped washstand, wardrobe like a coffin, and a pram in the corner, gray lace canopy, rocking gently though the window was shut. That first night, 11:03 p.m., Eleanor woke to soft humming. A lullaby, hush little baby, the pram rocking. She sat up. No one. The humming stopped. Morning, the pram was still, but the lace was torn, stained with yellowish fluid. Mrs. Hargreaves sniffed. Old thing, belonged to my sister. Lost her boy to scarlet fever in 18. Couldn't bear to part with it. Night 2, the humming returned, closer from inside the wardrobe. Eleanor opened it, empty. But the pram now faced her bed, rocking gently. A gray figure, A woman in mourning veil bent over it, back turned. Eleanor gasped. The figure vanished. The pram stopped. Footprints, bare, child-sized, led from the pram to the window, then stopped. By night 3, the lease on her dressing table was rewritten in red ink. Stay with my baby. Eleanor packed. The key wouldn't turn in the lock. The pram began rocking again, faster, faster. The gray lady appeared fully, face sunken, eyes milky, arms outstretched. He's cold, she whispered. Eleanor screamed, threw the pram at the window, glass shattered. She climbed out, fell 3 stories, broke her neck. The room was relet the next week. The pram was gone. But every tenant heard the lullaby. The lease always rewrote itself. The gray lady waits, rocking air. That's the lady in Gray's Lease, rooted in 1920s London ghost lore. Inspired by Bloomsbury boarding house hauntings, it echoes post-War I grief. Scarlet fever epidemics claim thousands of children, leaving mothers mad with loss. Never sign a lease in blood. Why do these tales endure? It's the dread of rooms that hide secrets. From Chicago's weeping walls to Bloomsbury's rocking pram, the cry lingers. That's all for tonight's Campfire Tales. If these stories made you fear cheap rent, share them in the comments or tell us a tale from your hometown. Next time, we'll unravel the vile tale of the Rougarou's kiss, a legend that'll make you fear a kiss in the dark. Until then, keep the fire burning and don't take the key.